Hey guys, it's Michael, and this is a little bit of an impromptu video, primarily because if any of you are familiar with an app called Zite for iOS, and I think Android has it as well, they do a collection of news stories, things of that nature. Well, it just so happened that an article was from this website that I've never remember going to, which is, I guess, is Final Cut Pro X and Final Cut Pro, the #1 resource on the net. So this is what you're seeing here. And here is the story. So how well does the top of the range MacBook Air run Final Cut Pro X? So if you actually go to the story, the first thing that stands out is they mention a 13-inch model, 1.3 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM. So that's not a top of the line or top of the range MacBook Air. And to be honest with you, we know that there's an 8 gig version, Core i7, that's obviously the Core i5. But so you go a little bit further, and one of the things that stands out that's a bit of interest, and the reason why I'm doing this video is because if you're interested in the MacBook Air and you're looking at the possibility of using it for light video editing, you may read this and go, wow, there's a huge problem. So as you scroll down this article and look at something specific, here is where it gets a bit interesting. Right here it says the Final Cut Pro far away stress test involves timing how long the built-in title generator takes to render. And they give the example how to do it. What they state is that as compared to a Retina MacBook Pro, which does it in 34 seconds, they say that a MacBook Air does it in over 2 hours. So that alone causes some questions. So what I decided to do was test it. So as soon as I got home today, I thought I would do that, and so I'm going to do it on camera for you. Alright, so one of the things that you would want to do is open up your Final Cut Pro. Alright, as you can see, I've already done this, so I know the result of the test. So we're going to close it out without saving the project, and I'll open it anew just to ensure that we're good. So I go through, I'm going to open up Final Cut Pro, and I'm going to follow the direction in terms of what they did. So they say that what you need to do is just start a new project. Here you go. So we'll just say new project. I'll do this full screen. Then they say drop the title onto the timeline. Final Cut Pro will ask about resolutions. Just click OK. And this is the far away render. So if you scroll down here, you'll see far away right here. You take it, you place it into the timeline, and there is the clip that asks you about resolution. You click OK. So I don't have the stopwatch in front of me, but if you watch this, you're going to see that it does pretty quick fashion. So we're about a third of the way through. And at this point, it's pretty evident that the 2 hours to render the title does not seem to be accurate at all. In fact, you're looking at closer to just shy of a minute. Now, I did this on my iMac, which I use for comparative purposes, on an earlier video, and it did it slightly quicker. So obviously it's not doing it to the level of the MacBook Retina, which you wouldn't expect it to given the processor. However, I think it does a competent job at rendering this title. So I'm going to close out of here, and I want to show you one last thing. If you scroll down to the comments section off this article, you get this individual who says, I'm pretty disappointed in your testing and don't think you've been thorough enough. And then he goes on. The editor here says that I think you're missing the point. In fact, there's something wrong with the rendering of effects. A bit like saying, what is the point of reviewing a car if it can only turn left? Forget the render problems. The screen real estate isn't enough. Basically not enough pixels. So I'm assuming that's the editor for this article. I'm not sure who actually wrote it at this point. I guess you can do some digging around. But here's the thing. I'm certainly not an expert on Final Cut Pro, and I'm certainly not an expert on the MacBook Air, but the reason why I'm doing this quick video is that if you are interested in the MacBook Air and you happen to run across this article and you happen to believe that it takes that long to render that title, that's just not accurate. So there was a test. If I've done something wrong, please someone who has a better understanding of the article point that out, but simply the instructions again are just start a new project, drop the title onto the timeline. Final Cut Pro will ask you about resolutions. Just to click OK. A default duration will be set automatically, and it won't be long before the background rendering kicks in, which needs to be enabled. And here, obviously, It did not take 2 hours. So just a quick video. Just wanted to comment on this in case some of you who are interested in buying MacBook Airs. I know I get a pretty good amount of views on my videos in regards, so I know there's interest there, and I know this would be of interest to me. So for those of you who are reading these articles, reach out to someone who has one to validate. So again, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below.